I just got back from Barnes & Noble where I picked up my copy of Charlie Kirk's book on the seventh-day Sabbath. It's called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. I've been looking forward to getting my hands on this book as soon as I heard that he had written about the Sabbath. One of the reasons is because I'm also a seventh-day Sabbath keeper. I honor the Sabbath from Friday evening sundown to Saturday evening sundown. There's a Bible verse in the Old Testament that talks about that, and I believe Charlie talks about that in this book as well. But I wanted to take a look at his approach to the Sabbath. Not many people in the public forums talk about the Sabbath, really, and since I'm also a Sabbath keeper, I wanted to analyze his book to see what his thoughts were, what his theology was in regards to this topic of the Sabbath. Now, several people have said, Jamie, why are you highlighting somebody like Charlie Kirk because they didn't agree with his politics or whatnot? In fact, when I was at Barnes & Noble and I picked up this book, I went and asked the young lady who was working there, I said, hey, where can I find Charlie Kirk's book? And I got a little bit of a dirty look because obviously she didn't approve of my choice of books. And so a lot of people, I understand, didn't like Charlie Kirk's take on politics maybe, but in this approach, I want to look at his theology. I think it's totally appropriate to look at people's beliefs in the Bible, to analyze those and to see what is true and what is not. I'm sure there will be things in this book that I completely agree with, and there may be a few things that I disagree with. I'm not sure yet, but I won't know unless I read the book. If we only limit ourselves to studying perfect people, we will have a very, very short list of people that we can actually look at and study. We right off the bat have to get rid of King David. We'd have to get rid of people like Martin Luther or even Martin Luther King Jr., John Calvin, a lot of different people we would not even be able to analyze if we had to have perfect people that never ever made a mistake and have that be our litmus test for people that we study. So I have no problem looking at Charlie Kirk's book on the Sabbath. I'm very curious as to what he believed on the Sabbath before he died. I had heard that he was a Sabbath keeper, and I'm sure this book will give me clarity as to why he believed in the Sabbath and some of the different aspects of Sabbath keeping that I'm sure will be interesting. I will be going through this book. I'll be posting some videos here analyzing his theology and what he says in this book. So if you would like to follow along with that, you can click the subscribe button here on YouTube, and you can also go over to our Facebook page on 832 and subscribe there, as I'll put some shorts on there as well and some thoughts on this book. But I'm excited to read it. I'm always curious about what people think about God and theology and the Bible, and this topic especially is something that hits close to home for me because I'm also a Sabbath keeper, and it's not a topic a lot of people talk about in public forums, and I think this is probably the most public person to talk about the Sabbath ever, as long as I've been alive. And so the idea of Sabbath keeping is something that that usually is kind of on the sub-levels of theological talks and such. And so the fact that it's in the public forum like this, I believe as not long after he died, that this was the #1 seller on Amazon.com. So a lot of people are curious about his take on the Sabbath. And so what a great opportunity for us to look at what the Bible says about the Sabbath. A little homework for you if you're interested in the Sabbath. As we read this and as in between now and when I put out some other videos analyzing this, some questions that would be good for you to do some research on in the pursuit of knowledge of the Sabbath. First, what did Sabbath mean at creation? Second, who in the Old Testament kept the seventh-day Sabbath? 3, why did Jesus and the disciples keep the Sabbath? 4, did the disciples keep the Sabbath after Jesus' death and resurrection? 5, is the Sabbath anywhere post-Gospels in the New Testament? Is it in Revelation, any of these places? These are good questions for us to look at as we look at the topic of the Sabbath and try to find truth in the Bible in regards to the Sabbath. So take a look at some of those. You may even ask, this is a big question too, if the Sabbath was on the seventh day at creation, if Jesus kept the disciples kept the seventh-day Sabbath, which I believe they did by looking at scriptures, I know they did, where is it that people changed from worshiping on Saturday, the seventh day, to Sunday, the first day? We should be able to find in history somewhere or someone who made that switch. And so in upcoming videos, I'm going to look at that history and study that with you. I don't know if Charlie will go through this in this book or not. I don't know. We'll see as I go through this. But for sure on this channel, we'll take a look and find out where that switch happened and if it's a legitimate switch. So stay tuned. I'll have some more videos coming up analyzing this book, Stop in the Name of God by Charlie Kirk, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. All right, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in upcoming videos.